Yeah,
You go to virtual backgrounds, then
I
you
don't
you will
see that
see
ones right now. Yeah, the
you
backgrounds
see
that I
an
don't see.
arrow on the blue, and then you have to first pull in the image and save it somewhere in your computer, and then you pull
Yeah,
in the image onto Zoom.
I save it and everything, but right now I don't find the background thing. I don't know.
Okay, let me
If
try.
Subtitles,
you log
recording.
out. Oh,
Okay, let me try and help her.
yeah.
Rosa, save it onto your desktop.
Yeah,
Save
I
the
have it
picture.
already.
Okay, and then where it gives you the different backgrounds option, there's a small button that
Yeah, but
says add
the thing is that I
add
don't
image
find
or add
Makama's the
video.
background options. The place where I have
So on the video,
subtitles, recording notes, Blackboard, but I don't
okay.
have the.
So on the video icon, that arrow that points up,
Ah, there,
just
that's
press
true.
that. Yes,
Yeah.
and there it will give you
Let me see.
adjust background effects, and then
Let
you
me
choose.
see. Thank you. That was there. I didn't. Añadir
Hi,
imagen.
Harbeen.
Hi, Harbeen. I see Harbeen's joined.
Oh, so sorry, sisters. I should have been on mute. I'm so sorry.
No,
Hi.
no, we didn't even hear
Okay.
you. Don't worry. It's
Okay,
all
okay,
good.
okay. Hi, hi.
Hi. All right. It's 1 o'clock. I think if we could give people maybe 2 minutes to join. I can see people are
Okay.
already joining. Give people about 2 to 5 minutes to join, and then we can start. So once we get to 20 people, I'll say we have enough people to start. And then as people join, they will align to um, whatever time they join. But at least let's see if we can get up to 20 people on the call. All right. It is, I said we're going to give it 5 minutes, and I think we're going to start to allow for the fact that we have exactly 1 hour. Good afternoon, everyone. Really wonderful to be here today, and thank you for joining us for this inaugural webinar for the Gender Lens Investment wing of the G100. My name is Onyinye. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. It is a webinar of G100, and I'll speak to G100 right now in a few minutes, and I'll also speak to, the Gender Lens Investing wing. I've got a number of G100 sisters and denim brothers here. Just wanted to welcome all of G100 sisters in the room, and denim brothers who are in the room as well. And also to welcome specifically the Gender Lens Investing wing who are here and who are supporting this particular webinar in multiple ways. A special shout out to the founder of G100 as well as SHEconomy, Dr. Harbeen. She will be speaking just now, right after me. And also a very big thank you to SHEconomy, the anchor partner for this webinar. Really grateful for your support, and Pinal in particular, and your team for enabling us to be here today and to be able to speak about our wing and to perhaps chat around, what does Gender Lens investing look like, but also more importantly, what can we, what does the key trends we saw in 2025, and then looking at what 2026 could hold for Gender Lens investing. We're also going to look at the linkage between Gender Lens investing and empowerment, as well as the linkage between Gender Lens investing and finance. And so the objective of this very first webinar of our wing is really to set the stage of what does this mean? How do we view it as a wing? But more importantly, what can women and men across the world take away in terms of the concept of Gender Lens investing? I have a quick slide I just want to use to bring us into this conversation that really opens up what we're trying to talk about here, which is, what is Gender Lens investing? Can I just check that you can see my slide? Can you see my slide as we speak? I'm trying to make sure it's gone into slide mode.
Yes.
So as a starting point, I just wanted to have a quick background on G100, and I'm not going to touch it because, the founder is here and it would be great for her to really speak about it. But it's a group of empowered women that looks to really champion awareness and impact related to what we stand for in terms of a gender equal future. And it's really about 100 women, 100 men, 100 wings, 100 country clubs, impacting millions and fighting for gender equality and gender equity. The vision of G100 is to create an equal, progressive, and inclusive environment for women worldwide. And our mission is to provide thought leadership of what needs to be done for inclusivity, safety, economic and social empowerment of women globally, addressing the gender gaps and achieving gender parity within the next decade. So it's really about how do we ensure that we progress gender equality and gender equity, and how do we make sure that we create a movement of people leading it, and Dr. Harbeen can speak a little bit around what that movement looks like. From a Gender Lens investment point of view, which is the portfolio that I happen to be the global chair of, and really grateful for all the country chairs and denim chair Thabo, who is here to really lead us. And the goals of our wing is to promote investment in female-owned managed companies, and really to hopefully, through promoting that investment we see growth in women-owned companies or women-led companies, but also identify individuals, companies, government that can help address gender polarization gaps. We do know that in terms of leadership, women, the percentage of women in leadership positions are still quite low at board level, at the C-suite positions, especially in publicly listed companies. We also know, that the percentage of women who are accelerating in terms of, if you look at top-tier businesses, are also low. I happen to be a part of a very prestigious network, and many times I enter into the room, I'm the only woman in the room, and we don't have enough women, running or leading or founding Fortune 500 companies. We also know that pay parity remains a problem when it comes to gender issues. Women in leadership positions are still earning less. So we look at gender investment not just from a financial, we look at it from an investing in terms of equity, venture capital, economic growth of countries and companies in particular, but also in terms of equity of skills and competence, promotions and access to resources, just to name a few. Our theme as the Gender Lens Investment Portfolio within the G100 is really an empowered woman and empowered nation. We know that when you put money in the hands of a woman, it goes far. We're not necessarily saying that you can't empower women at the exclusion of men, hence why we have our denim partners in the form of our male counterparts whose job is to really, support in what we're trying to achieve, but also work alongside men to say that when, women advance, then men advance. Equally, society advances. And we recognize that it's not about empowering women over men, but it's really about, how do we create a just and equitable society where everyone has an equal opportunity to advance the ideals of themselves, their families, their communities, and their country. Some of our key areas, we're looking at entrepreneurship because that's important. We want to see more women accelerate in terms of entrepreneurship and all of the linkages of entrepreneurship, investment, funding, etc. Especially social entrepreneurship, as economic entrepreneurship continues to be challenging when you think about it in terms of low economic growth in countries. But we also want to raise leaders, and hence we think about gender-less investment in the context of skills and education, and also in the context of how do we have policies that are favorable to gender equity. And finally, how can we advocate, be in spaces, encourage and empower opportunities that enable women and women-led businesses to have access to resources. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And I believe that there's no other person who can explain the concept of gender lens investment within the broader G100 World Women Economic Forum landscape than the founder herself, a woman who understands and carries this vision, who has worked hard over the last couple of years and decades to really build something magnificent, something that we're all proud to be a part of, something building an ecosystem of and a movement of women and men across continents and the world, really to take on this initiative on a voluntary basis. So without any further ado, I want to present Dr. Harbeen to give us some light opening speech or keynote address on the concept of G100 in particular, especially linking it to empowerment. Over to you, Dr. Harbeen.
Thank you so much, dear sister, and everyone here today. Thank you for bringing this all together. It's been a pleasure following the journey of the wing, and Sister Oni and Brother Thabo and all the country chairs. Everybody's been just so integrated, and really this forms a great nucleus of what we want this wing to become. Quantitatively, the wing will see itself spread in over 100 countries with 100 country chairs. But this seed, nourished, nurtured, is surely going to get there because I see all of you working in an integrated way. And our brother Thabo, it's really nice to see the Denim Club so engaged. And Sister Oni, all credit to you for persevering and not giving up, and all the sisters from all the continents for making sure no matter what unearthly hour it is, showing up. And that's really testimony to our willpower. Do we want to be the change? And the answer is a resounding yes. And in the G100 talk, conversations have also opened up many fronts which address the wellness of women. Because unless we are well, how will we have the willpower? Or for the willpower to sustain itself, we need to create circles of wellness so we can continue to tap into more energy and strength to continue the walk, to persevere in our path. This wing is addressing the third keg, which is the wealth part. So, with willpower, with wellness, we come so far, but it is wealth or investment in women led businesses or women oriented, women focused causes that are going to help us move the needle further. Like they say, if you want to see where a country stands with respect to bridging the gaps, all kinds of socio-economic gender gaps, just follow the money. Just see where the money is going when it comes to public policy. So I think we need to put the private sector part in gender lens investing and the public sector part on equal footing. In fact, the public sector may be a little greater, but it has the influence and the power to guide the private sector to invest in a certain way by framing its structure of incentives and all sorts of things in order to shape behavior and investment. So yes, the NGOs have been working. Yes, civil society has been working. Yes, people have been working on a voluntary basis to bridge the gap. But G100 has been formed so that we form this very powerful, influential, with a circle with a global vision and with grassroots engagement, constantly informing each other, enabling and empowering each other to really have some best practices of policies changed, framed, and while we continue to do our work, our actions, our projects, and raise our collective consciousness and energize our personal willpower, which is absolutely critical to advancing any change. But there will be a change of leadership. G100 proposes to be there for at least 100 years, and the systems have been set forth in a motion, so it sustains itself in a way. But what do we leave for the next generation? Some new problems to work on. So we are here to work on certain existing problems so the next generation does not have to face the same problems and come back to the same point of the conversation again and again and again. We need to break this cycle that is systemically pulling us down. So it is to address these systemic gaps through policy change, through best practices, but also knocking at the doors, taking delegations, speaking to a lot of policymakers. And that's why this high-level group of the G100 is there. So you have privileged access to anyone. Our sister Hartini, who's the global president for 2026, just came back from Davos. Many sisters were there, but what she shared was just, walking, coming and going out. She could meet a lot of people, have their ear, but it's not just Davos. It's just so many places that these conversations are happening, and we need to show up there, wherever we can. And that's the whole beauty. Oni doesn't need to travel to India. I'm there in India. I got that. Whoever is wherever, tap into the circles of sisterhood, and those are the country clubs where all the 100 wings are represented by their country chairs, who have further grown their wings by inviting region chairs, city chairs. Each chair invites a circle of 100 at her level of responsibility. And so if we can just tap into that, keep that integrated, we again keep moving the needle forward, keep pushing the frontiers of change, and slowly and steadily the change will be an outcome of all that we are doing. But I think gender lens investing holds a very important and significant role, which is not sort of there in the other wings, because it is talking about the finance gap, the capital gap, and the wealth gap. And so I think it is positioned along with a few other finance-related wings. And I welcome you to explore interwing synergies with the other finance-related wings in order to come up with something which might be a track on finance from multimodal ways. And SHEconomy would be very happy to help again, work that out for all of you, a webinar with joint wings, and G100 Secretariat can enable that. You're all connected, Sister Oni, to the G100 Global Chairs also. We can facilitate that again with this express purpose, because I see you've already moved the needle in the wing, and the wing has picked traction. It will continue to do so. And really setting the next milestone, the next goal is to pull in the energies and the synergies in the system of the G100, which is already there, already in place, and flying out with that as well. So I have no doubt that with this group of very able, capable, strong, committed, motivated sisters and brothers, we will change the status, the statistic, the status quo when it comes to gender lens investing. And I look forward to learning from you and listening to all of you. And thank you for the opportunity and sharing the stage. God bless you all, and good luck to all of us. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Can I hand over to Sister Yeni to go into an icebreaker with us? But again, a massive thank you to our founder, as always inspiring. Yeni, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. It's good to meet all of you. It's good to see all your faces, especially because I understand we're joining from so many different parts of the world. It's also an incredible forum for us to get to know more about gender lens, get to know more about the G100, get to know more about our anchor partner, SHEconomy. And I will be taking the icebreaker, and it's just for us to also understand what gender lens means to each and every one of us when we look at the different industries we operate, the different backgrounds we come from. So this poll is really just to, see what gender lens means to each and every one of us. So it's open for you all to vote. Please feel free. I think there are multiple answers allowed. There's no right or wrong answers anyways. We're all here to learn. Okay, thank you, Dr. Harbeen. I see you voted. Okay. We have the answers coming in. I think we still have like a minute. So we see that more people voted for social impact and equity and fairness. Anyone here for innovation and market opportunity, financial performance? Yay. Thanks, Rosa. I see you voted as well. Thank you. Okay, someone voted for financial performance. Okay. Anyone else here for innovation and market opportunity? Or the underlying understanding or the underlying drive for most of us here seems to be social impact and equity and fairness. Okay. We still have we have about a minute more. We need your votes coming in. Please vote, please vote, please vote. Okay. So we have 14 responses in total. Social impact takes the lead, followed by equity and fairness, and then financial performance. Thank you all for joining. I know we also have to manage time here. So I'm going to hand over to Thabo, the Denim Chair, and he will be introducing our speakers as we get into the meat of the webinar today. So I will hand over to Thabo. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much, Yeni. Thank you, everybody, for attending the G100 webinar. And I am the Denim Chairperson. So the explanation for the Denim Chairperson, that it's the brother or male counterpart of the chairperson for the region that we're in. And I'm very excited to be part of this because the conversation is very relevant in seeing how is it that we can create a space and integrate women in identifying opportunities for investment. And I think it's so important that the conversation really carries on and we get to a space where we are able to create equitable opportunities and spaces for collaboration and more than anything else, make access into different investment opportunities. So I'm very excited to be introducing our first speaker, who's going to look at how is it that we can integrate this. So, sorry, let me just get Constance de Wavrin, founder of Inflow, and I think she will be able to give us more information and do an introduction of herself. Constance, welcome and thank you very much for taking this opportunity.
Thank you, Thabo. Thank you, Oni and Dr. Harbeen and Onyinye. It's a real pleasure to be here. You're right, I am the founder of Inflow. I am also very involved with the Orange Movement. I'm a global lead for the Orange Movement, Orange Hue for UN SDG 5, which is gender equality. And this movement, the Orange Movement, has been started by the Impact Investment Exchange and has roots from the Global South for the Global South, and really working at the intersection of gender, inclusive finance, and just and equitable transitions, climate transitions. And very well placed with their track record as a pioneering impact investors in the Global South. So I represent them here from London and work with all sorts of stakeholders. Gender lens investing is a very broad topic, and I think that before we dive into the reflections that we have for 2025, we wanted to take a step back and really look at all the different definitions of gender lens investing. Gender can be a word that antagonizes people in today's world, and very polarizing. And anyone who's been working on the front line of advocating for inclusion generally will have felt the full force of the backlash against DEI, CSR, corporate, so DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, CSR, corporate social responsibility, and ESG, environmental, social, and governance. The algorithms have been punishing, but also finding work if you express views on these topics can be difficult. And I think it's important that we understand exactly what it is to talk about gender lens investing. It is about advancing gender equality, yes, while achieving competitive financial returns. That's why it was interesting to see that in the poll. Yes, of course, it's about social impact and equality, but it is no charity, it is no philanthropic endeavor. This is about delivering returns because our economies and societies are more empowered with the contribution and participation of women. And I should also say that when we talk about GLI, it's very often including other minority groups. So it could be LGBTQIA+, it can be disabilities, and any underserved community in the world. So this high-level, all-encompassing definition of GLI can lean into three key pillars. And obviously, it's not exhaustive, but trying to form some structure and how we think about GLI. So first of all, yes, there is the access to capital, and increasing women's access to financing and investment opportunities is one of the key topic. And it is at the moment in the spotlight about digital inclusion, digital banking, digital access to services, so building the technology infrastructure that is going to enhance access to services. And it can be health, it can be all sorts of infrastructure supportive of women. And then sometimes it's about developing credit scoring methodologies for female entrepreneurs, so developing credit scoring methodologies are more inclusive, not solely based on how much collateral they can bring to the plate, because some women do not own property, therefore do not have the collateral, therefore do not have access to the same financial conditions as men. So broadening those scoring metrics and psychometrics can be helpful in demonstrating that women can also access those conditions and these finances. Secondly, is probably the area of GLI that is the most contentious at the moment is the workplace equity, and because of the backlash that I was talking about earlier. Promoting gender diversity in not just senior decision making and leadership, but also across the workplace and in supply chains. So it's not just women on boards, it's also the treatment of women in supply chains. And that is, again, often supply chains deep into emerging markets, where we need to make sure that if a large corporate that is issuing a bond into the market for raising capital globally takes care of the people locally. And it is about pay equity across organizations. For sure, this is an important topic. I can't believe I just said for sure, like Macron. I did. So the third topic is about delivering and shaping and financing solutions that benefit and support women, girls, and underserved community globally. And I think what's important here is that we are seeing a new generation of products and services. And I'm thinking of all the technologies that strives to understand how women carry their lives. And it is fair to say that the life of a woman is very non-linear, and we go through life transitions, and there is a specific part of the market, femtech, which is technology that supports women, throughout those different transitions throughout their lives. So these are three ways of looking at what we mean when we talk about gender lens investing. And Oni, if you could move to the next slide. So let's talk about capital markets growth and momentum for GLI. So first of all, before we get into the numbers, I think it's important to realize that in investments, there are three manners in which gender can surface. So first of all, there is the ambit in traditional finance and investments of ESG risk factor integration, and gender can sometimes surface under the social factors. So and that means that when a corporate comes to market, they may want to make sure that they fulfill some social criteria. But this is only through an ESG lens. So it's more an attempt at corporates through traditional finance, so vanilla bonds or equity, come to market and apply some sort of criteria. There is also the label use of proceeds bond market, where the proceeds here are deliberately earmarked for a specific purpose or delivery of an outcome. Okay, so that is much more intentional in that the corporate or the sovereign comes to market with that determination in mind. It is also important to think of gender in the impact investing space, to the extent that this is where we are able to uplift women-owned and led SMEs and really connect them from local SME level to the global capital markets. So For the purpose of quantifying where we're at in terms of GLI, it is helpful to use the labeled debt market, so the middle category that I've spoken of, because it is the cleanest way of tracking exactly where the use of proceeds is dedicated to benefiting women. So this market is to date the size of $246 billion, and this is 2025 number of gender-focused bond issuance. So those bonds have come to market displaying some gender characteristics. So it could be through the investments that they focus on, or through the leadership making characteristics. Or how women are treated in the workforce and in the procurement ambit. So that's, and it's fair to say that this issuance is mostly driven still by the growth of the social bonds market, which really took off. Social bonds have been around for a long time, but took off specifically in 2020 under the pandemic to address very specific social outcomes and peaked in, sorry, did I hear something? And peaked in 2021 with the funding of very specific pandemic-related outcomes. And this is what's been driving the gender bond markets. So what have been the key trends? Well, first of all, the fact that GLI has moved from moving from niche, considered to be niche, as to be fully integrated in investment strategies, and very helpfully across climate, but also emerging markets and inclusive finance mandates. So increasingly more institutionalized, and that is a very promising thing in our attempt to try to anchor the market, anchor and embed gender and the interest of underserved communities into the DNA of capital markets. The second thing is the investor expectations have been rising from a gender metrics and team diversity perspective. And not only in the niche portfolio strategies that are fully dedicated to GLI, because some asset managers have been launching funds that are about gender empowerment exclusively, but also in portfolios that are more generic. So that is very promising as well. And then finally, there's the emerging market opportunity. So what we are seeing is an emergence of the strength of women entrepreneurs, as been mentioned before. Notably in Africa, you learn that 1 in 4 businesses are led or owned by women, and yet they only receive less than 7% of VC funding, despite very attractive returns on investments. So I think that the gap that was referred to earlier provides a genuine opportunity for growth in 2026 and beyond. So moving on to the last slide, why now? So why now? Because there is a tremendous opportunity to champion GLI across the entire investment value chain. As I mentioned, ESG integration can be at corporate level issuance, it can be tapping into sovereign leadership at country level. It can be also at SME and entrepreneurial level. So we're able to, if we take this opportunity to build on the market infrastructure for it through standards and frameworks that really give women a seat and a voice, a seat at the table and a voice in the design of investment solutions, then we will be in a much better space. So first, advocate for the competitive returns of gender lens portfolios in emerging market that perform either on par or sometimes even better than conventional investments. And we want to make the case for this. Tap into that market momentum. So what we are seeing is that, yes, standards are maturing. I'm part of the ICMA working group that looks at impact reporting for social bonds and really pushing for gender disaggregated data collection and reporting on specific gender KPIs. So there is an opportunity here to tap into this accelerating issuance into the market, the fact that investors are expecting, and when we say investors, it can be some very large asset owners, are now asking for credible frameworks and impact reporting for greater transparency. And that is, in light of the ESG/DEI CSR backlash in 2025, I think it's demonstrating that the trend is very resilient. And still going strong. We can build on credibility and on the competitive advantage of the asset class through collaboration and innovation in gender-linked credit products. So, for example, sustainability-linked bonds that feature social KPIs. So a lot of those bonds have been built initially for green bonds markets. But increasingly, we can set KPIs that are social KPIs, and we can build metrics whereby the issuer gets punished if they do not meet certain metrics, and these metrics can be gender. We should really take advantage of that opportunity. But also structured solutions and blended finance. Dr. Harbeen mentioned the importance of partnership between the public and private sector. I think it's also a very important way of carrying forward some of the solutions that are put out in the market. Some instruments are incredibly transformative in that respect. Another topic is the climate integration. So for a very long time, some of the financial products that have been put out in the market were very women-only products. And now we see gender strategies embedded and fully integrated in climate, emerging market, and inclusive finance. And especially the focus is now shifting from risk mitigation into resilience. And what else can be more resilience building than incorporating last mile stakeholders such as women into the design of solutions for the climate transition and the fostering of resilience in emerging markets. Yes, so I must politely wrap up. So the last thing I think I wanted to mention is the ecosystem building. I think it's a nice place to stop. That I'm part of the Orange movement. There are other initiatives you might have heard of, the 2X Global. We are working very hard on harmonizing our frameworks to make it easy for both issuers and investors to come to market and help entrepreneurs on the ground, women entrepreneurs, to meet the criteria that we set for global capital markets. And with that, we really need more partnership, more innovation, and building the ecosystem together. And Thabo has kicked me out, so that's it.
I wish we had so much time to go through this. Really appreciate it, Constance. And I think our audience can reach out and the sisters can reach out for more information. I really appreciate it. We will have a short Q&A session just now. If we can line up the video of Tracey Horton. So Tracey is an entrepreneur and an international speaker, a founder of the Coaching Concierge based in Australia, a global platform dedicated to helping women and to lead, to heal, and build thriving and soul-aligned businesses. So I'm going to ask that we play the video and then we take it from there. Thank you.
Australia. What a pleasure it is to be on this webinar My greetings go out to Dr. Harbeen and Oni, and thank you so much for the invitation. Today I want to talk to you about the gender lens of how women are set up financially globally and how they're working through some of the things that we need to look at. You know, it is very aware to me that women are doing more than they ever have. They're more participating in the areas of earning income. They're working longer. They're putting families off. They're positioning themselves for greater opportunities. And yet there's still this disparagement of loss. There's still not this equalization of financial independence. And so why is the participation not trading into equity? This is what I want to talk about for a few minutes with you today. Because access is not equal when opportunity exists. So for women, we are very much structured still in all of our cultures to be the caregivers. And there is still a disparagement around women leaving the workforce to go and have children, to go and to care for elderly, to look after families. There's still a desire and a need that when the children need to be attended to, it's the woman that leaves the work. And because of all of that still being so deeply socially structured, there is a cost to it for women. And I want to bring a real challenge to us today that maybe it's time we brought some leadership to this and we had some of the very deep conversations. In Australia, I own 3 businesses, and one of them is a bookkeeping business. And in that bookkeeping business, I outsource all of my work to women that are sitting at home in the first year of having children. So these women are able to do the work, but they need to do it in their own time and their own structure to fit around a brand new baby so they can stay cohesive with their families. And I have chosen particularly to do that because it does actually address some of the stuff that's really deep in my heart about why women are still really getting penalised in many ways for the things that they have to do. Confidence and conditioning are economic issues, and we have to realise that we do not need, as we move forward, to penalise women for caring any longer. And the way we do that is that we have to understand that we need programs that do not lose the value when life is disrupted. At the moment, in most cultures, women leave work to have children. Some of them leave in some cultures for very short times. In our culture, they leave for close to 6 to 12 months in Australia to have their children and to have that baby get grounded and ready into schooling and preschool and all that stuff. At that time, they often lose their position, they often lose their place, and when they go back to the workforce, they can't come straight back in as they could. So it's not seen as a leave of absence, it's seen as a disruption. And I think that that's one of the things that we could really bring leadership to, is that when women do need to step out for a time to do some of these things, that, let's be honest, are creating a society and are making us better off for having had it all, that we need to come out back into this, if they need to be able to come back into that. But we need to value care as an economic contribution, not as an inconvenience. We need to fund financial education. Women need funding for financial education. My greatest advice to you is this: learn how to be deeply productive in understanding financial education, but also do not be afraid to go to the table and ask for your seat. Do not be afraid to go and say, listen, I have these skills, I have these abilities, and this is what I want to do. You know, it's not a charity or a favour to give women social and financial support to be able to stand on their own and earn well. It's not. It's actually an educated leadership choice into the future. There is no doubt we're now living in a world where women do outnumber men. And so for us to move forward concisely and properly, we need to be empowering women. I have 4 daughters, and I'm proud to say that every one of them has their own career within their own space and time, because I taught them this. I taught them that women have the same rights at the same tables. But unfortunately, as all the women that are listening on here and the men today, we all understand this, but I do think it's time we took it outside of these webinars and began to teach it, educate it, and, advocate for it. Advocate for it, because I have 8 granddaughters, and I would like to think that every one of them could be living in a world where they will not be undermined or underpinned for caring or having to step outside of their role to have a child. When I had my first child, I left my accounting practice that I was in line for partnership with, and I took a bunch of clients home with me, and I created my own business. And that was extremely unique in 1990. I would like to think as we move into 2026, that is no longer the thing, that we now can look at all of these ways that we can help people. And I want to end with this. Ladies and gentlemen, the easiest way for us to support each other is to support each other by buying, loving, caring, and giving to each other, by learning how to learn from each other, by learning how to gift each other the things that we know. And that's why I love to be a part of Dr. Harbeen's life and part of these webinars, because education and leadership comes from us all doing life together. Thank you so much for giving me this time. I really, really look forward to hearing how this webinar went and how everything went. And I want you to know that if there is ever a time that you could use any of my wisdom or advice, you just reach out to Tracey Horton in Australia, and it would be my pleasure to give you that time and that information, because here's the thing, the future belongs to all of us, and women are part of the future in a bigger way than we've ever been before. Thank you for your time. I will see you.
Fantastic. That was beautiful. And I think it gives us a nice way of reflecting and understanding how women are affected. I mean, as a father of girls, I think there's a lot I need to be doing in preparing for them. At least I'm not there yet with the grandchildren, but I have an opportunity for the girls to be empowered. So we all have a way in which we can learn. Our time is very restricted. I'm going to ask that we maybe ask 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll hand over to Sister Berenice. Is there any questions? I can check on the chat.
I have a question, Brother Thabo. Is there any country, a best example of a law or a framework which is led legally in any country which guides gender lens investing in a stronger way? Other than the frameworks that we have, are there any laws that we know of, or any best practice which is coming at the top leadership level and influencing the way people invest? And is there anything on that front? Maybe Sister Constance can take that.
Yes. Constance, you want to take that from the research? Do you have any law that you know
Hi.
of?
Hi. So, this is where I was mentioning the ICMA, the International Capital Markets Association, because so the gender lens, and I was mentioning the orange label, mapped its progress over the use of proceeds green bond label. I mean, why are we talking about debt, first of all? Is because in the development finance world, it's a lot about, leveraging and essentially extending loans and extending debt programs for development. So this is why we talk about debt capital markets when we talk about these sort of investments. And the International Capital Markets Association has been sort of regulating or determining what the structure of that market should be. And the climate bonds type of product, like green bonds, sustainability bonds, have mapped their work around the work of ICMA, but has also there have been initiatives such as the Climate Bonds Initiative. They started a standard and then a taxonomy, but there's never been a taxonomy for social bonds. And so gradually, what ICMA has done is issued a bunch of principles that, just like they did for the green bond principles, they have issued a social bonds principle. So it's a charter where some guidelines are dictated, and the market is really trying to develop around this. And there are all sorts of participants taking part in negotiating those guidelines. Obviously, working for the Impact Investment Exchange, I'm a big advocate of the orange label, and I've posted in the chat the Orange Bond Principles, which is our standards, which looks at three things. The three pillars here are, first of all, the use of proceeds needs to benefit or support women. So whatever investment the bond is investing in, so the use of proceeds is directed and the capital is allocated to products, initiatives, companies that and assets and projects that benefit or support women. So that's one thing. Secondly, it is about the DEI, so the leadership and the representation of women at all level of the organization, and the fair treatment of women, especially in the workforce and supply chains, as I mentioned earlier. And then the third pillar is very important, is the transparency. And for that, I do find that the Impact Investment Exchange is incredibly well placed for chartering the importance of impact verification with last mile and beneficiaries. Because if you let the global markets determine what impact looks like, you're not gonna be close to reality. And I see Oni, nodding. So that has to come from who is really impacted at the end.
Yeah, thank you very much, Constance. And I will advise that if ever there is any more information one would want, they can reach out directly to Constance. Please do put out information. I'm going to hand over now to Sister Berenice for her to take over.
Thank you so much, Thabo, and hello, everybody. Yes, we have another pool that we want to share with you, and I'm going to please, Pina, help us to project that. There is another, in order to ask you about what will you think that could be accelerate capital flow into women-led businesses, because we know that we have different topics that that are running in the sector, but it will help us to know a different point of views, in order to help investors or maybe capital investors sector to watch what another thing is going to help us to accelerate capital flow into women. Here you have the poll questions here. For example, better access to investors, policy and regulatory reform. Maybe you think that more performance data we need, or maybe funder capacity building. I only can note that one person answered the question. Please help us to vote in this poll.
Yeah, there's about 8 people that have voted, that have responded to the poll, so we can do a little bit more. Yeah. And we have about 3 minutes before we go to Sister Rosa. We have 10, 11. That's nice. 12. We can do more. Two more, and then we then can close the poll so that we don't run over time. I think we've got Sister Rosa, Sister Berenice, we can close out on the poll, and then we can hand over to Sister Rosa. Thank you.
Okay, I can see the results, but if you see Thabo, could you share with us?
Yeah, I see the results. So the results with the question relating to what would most accelerate capital flowing to women-led businesses. At the top is better access to investors. The second part is policy and regulatory reform. Number two, actually, it is investor mindset shift. Number three is policy and regulatory reform. And sharing the other two spots is more performance data and founder capacity building. At the top of everything, it's better access to investors. And second is investor mindset shift. So those become the ones. I think due to our time constraints, Sister Berenice, I'm going to ask Sister Rosa then to take over.
Thank you. Thank you. What a great conversation. It was great to hear you all, the speakers, the contributors. Thabo, good moderator. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think as we close, I want to leave us with a simple but uncomfortable truth. Because genderless investment is not about fishing women. It's about fishing systems that we are never designed with women in mind. So capital is not neutral. As the Sister Harbeen said, we have to do many things. We have to push. Money is very important. We speak about entrepreneurship. We speak about diversity, equity, but money, how the money is flowing is very important. How the wealth is right now. No, we know that many family enterprises, many companies, the heritage is going to be for women. And there is a lot of documents there from different banks. So I think it's very important to push this wing. It's very important to speak about this because impact investment still we have less women in the impact investment movement. We have less women investors. We have family office owned by many men. So I think it's very important to push this area because capital is not neutral. It encodes values, it rewards behaviors, and it shapes futures. So yeah, let's carry on to forward this to action. We have to work because women, we need to be also in the capital and in this flow of investment. So thank you everybody to be here with us. I think this is the first webinar. We will have more webinars and yeah, great conversation from all of you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Sister Rose. I'm going to hand over back to Sister Onyinye and then leave it at that. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And I know it's exactly 2 minutes to past 2. A big thank you to all Genderless Investment members and our denim chair for a wonderful webinar. And there's more to come. Watch this space and enjoy the rest of your day and weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
We're into volumen.